What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Creative Caffeine podcast. My name is Connor Wells. I'm your host. I am a photographer, a videographer, and a podcast producer. Let's get into the episode. I hope you've all had a fantastic week. I'd love to know what you guys have been creating, what you've been shooting, where you've been shooting. If you've had any really cool locations that you've shot at, let me know in the comments below. Today, if you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on Spotify, we've switched it up a bit. We've got a couple of camera angles here, so we've got one here, we got one there. We're playing around with it today. Why not? So, one of my most popular videos on YouTube is a video I recorded all the way back in 2021, and it's called How to Start a Successful Photography Business. Every year I change the title and the thumbnail of that video to 2023, 2024, and it's one of those videos that's just churning views, which is great. You love to see it. And it's always been on my mind to put together a podcast episode, basically how to build a photography business from scratch, because that video, although it gives out a lot of information, it can go a little bit more in depth, and that's what this episode is all about, and it is how to build a photography business from scratch. So if you're new to the podcast, please do help me out, hit the subscribe button, hit follow, and if you've listened to an episode before, maybe drop a 5-star review. That would really helps us get up the charts, and you love to see that. That'll be fantastic. So let's start with building a photography business from scratch. Maybe you've got an eye for photography. Maybe you've been using your phone, and you want to take that next step and start a business. Make some money from your hobby. Make some money from your passion. The first thing I'd say is find your niche. For beginners, that is key to finding your niche and your your USP, your unique selling point. Now, I personally myself don't have a specific niche. If I had to nail it down to one thing, it's that I create social media content for businesses, brands, and individuals. So that's sort of my niche. Now, if you are wanting to be solely in wedding photography or solely in wedding films, that's your niche. I wouldn't strive to shoot anything else other than that. Maybe you could do it as, use it to get your experience, do some portrait shoots, to get used to your camera, shooting with friends and stuff. But I probably wouldn't use that to market your wedding photography business. Same with food. If you solely want to be a food photographer, I would probably avoid shooting weddings, shooting portraits and events and all that sort of stuff. Now, when it comes to identifying your unique selling point, you need something that makes your audience, make your clients, and I'm saying this again because I love this quote. It's from one of my good friends, Melissa Matson. She runs Ember Brand Agency. I'm part of that as well. And it is make yourself, make your audience sit up and pay attention. What is your unique selling point? Is it beautiful cinematic photos that give a film look? Is it a quick turnaround? Is it photos that are for food photography that really sell a restaurant's food? So figure out what your unique selling point is and really hone in on that. The next thing is to create a business plan. So the key components of a photography business plan, obviously, acquire your gear and figure out how you're going to get that, how you're going to market your photography business. If you're comfortable charging at this point in your journey, figure out what you're going to be charging, figure out what your overhead is. We're going to talk about that in a little bit when it comes to pricing your services. But I would set short-term and long-term goals for your business. we spoke about goals on episode 1 of the podcast of series 2. But figure out what your long-term and short-term goals are, whether it's, you want to do this full-time, how long it's going to take you to be full-time, how many clients you want to be shooting with each month, each week, how quickly you want to edit and, set those turnarounds. Figure out those long-term and short-term goals. Because for me, one of my goals was when I, picked up my cameras for the first time, my goal was to go full-time within a year. And I did that. I'd say within about 6 months, mainly because I spontaneously decided to do it the day before lockdown. It was a big risk. It's always going to be a huge risk when it comes to going full time with your photography business. Now, for me, my skill set is a little bit more versatile. I do video as well. I don't just do photos. Obviously, I do podcast production as well. But really set some goals, whether it's long term and short term. It's good to have those because they help keep you motivated as well. One of my goals for this year is to stop working weekends. I do tend to work a lot of weekends. Sometimes you've got to, but I really want to reduce the amount of weekends that I work. I do work a lot of events, I shoot a lot of festivals, and typically those are like a Friday to Sunday things. But when it comes to like odd jobs, odd photo shoots and video shoots, I really want to sort of keep that to like Monday to Friday. I've got a little boy on the way and I want to make sure that I've got, plenty of time. Same comes for within the week. I want to really sort of knuckle down and set my hours to myself. I don't want to give myself a 9 to 5, but I want to have some evenings back and have that flexibility. The next thing is legalities and business structure. So legalities are important. So overview the legal considerations for your photography business. So definitely set up a contract, whether you use a lawyer or a contract specialist to write you up a contract, or use ChatGPT. Like ChatGPT is incredible for contract writing. There's definitely clauses in some of my contracts that I have that are written by AI. It is a fantastic tool, especially if you're just getting into this industry. You need a contract. It is imperative to have a contract. It protects you from all sorts of situations. I've had clients when I first started try to, get the deliverable. I've sent the deliverables and then they tried to ghost you. I was, fortunate enough that I got them to sign a contract and that protected me. Obviously, you don't really want to go down the legal routes and all those sorts of things. It's not fun. You don't really want to go down that route, but a contract protects that. Also, as well, I would highly recommend getting photography insurance. Insure your gear, insure your data as well. I myself use Ripe Photography. They have been fantastic. I'm going to leave a link down in the show notes in the description below where you can get 25% off your photography insurance plan. I've been with Ripe Photography for about 3.5 years now, and they cover everything from accidental damage to theft and all those sorts of things. Because let's face it, photography gear is not cheap. It's very expensive, and we work hard to get that photography gear. We work hard reinvesting into our businesses, and you want to protect that. It's really worth it. I would definitely get photography and video gear camera insurance. It's worth it. And then obviously, if you are doing drone photography and just photography in general, obtain necessary licenses and permits. You are going to need public liability insurance as well. It's going to go up if you have a drone. You're going to need to do risk assessments, but public liability insurance is also a must-have underneath contracts and camera gear insurance, because let's say you're setting up some lights for a photo shoot, somebody trips on a wire and injures themselves, you're going to need public liability insurance that's going to protect you for that. Next thing, number 4, is building an online presence. I love this. I love building the whole subject of building an online presence. So you're going to want to create a website. Now, there's many ways to do that. You can use Wix, you can use GoDaddy, I think Fiverr, Vistaprint create websites. There's Squarespace as well. There are so many ways to create a website. AI now is incredible at speeding up the process. You can just type in some keywords and it will create a website for you. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect. You're going to have to change it to fit you, to fit your brand, to fit your USP, but create a website, get your handle name, your domain for your business, set up your social media accounts. For me, I only have one social media account. I post my work on one account. I don't really post too much personal stuff on my Instagram or on my Facebook page. I pretty much just post personal stuff on my Facebook like friend profile thing. Other than that, I that's the only place I post personal stuff. So get your social media handles for your business if they're available. Annoyingly, for me, the @ConnorWells handle on Instagram is already taken. I am actively trying to get it, but it's a bit of a mission, and I think I'm a little bit dead in the water there. So I've got my Instagram handle, which is @CJW_HQ. I am probably going to be changing that in the new year once I've run out of my current business cards. So yeah, utilize that social media as well to showcase your work. I think I say it every episode. If you don't post your work, you don't get work. I should put on a hat or a t-shirt of some sorts, but you need to post your work, whether it's shoots that you've done for free, for friends, building your portfolio. Get it posted, because you're going to want people to see your work. That's imperative. If you don't post your work, you don't get your work. And also as well, you need to think of strategies for your online branding and visibility as well. So really get your brand strategy, your brand personality built up. You can't just hide behind a logo. I strongly suggest that you put yourself in front of the camera. Your clients are going to want to know who they're working with, who's shooting them. They want a bit of personality behind it. Maybe some bigger corporate companies, they do want like a video production house, a video production, big old brand that can hide behind a logo, and there's not much, personality behind it. But for me, I love, the personal brand approach. So, I put myself in front of the camera all the time. I'm doing it now. I do it on my Instagram reels. I will post photos of myself, working at my desk or, behind the scenes of a photo shoot. So yeah, really get that dialed in. The next thing is pricing your services. Now, we spoke about that on episode 2 of series 2 about, knowing your worth, setting your prices. So I'm not going to go too in depth on that one today, as I've already made, a full length episode about how to set your prices, what to charge for your work. Also, if you're a videographer as well, that I go in more in depth with that as well. But we'll break down a few little bits. So determining a pricing structure that reflects your skills and market value, and also experience as well. So figure out what your overhead is, what you're going to set your price as, and make sure you're making a profit, and also make sure your experience reflects that. Obviously, if you're just starting out your photography business, we're going from, the perspective of you're starting from scratch, then there's not going to be much experience and value there implemented into your pricing yet, but that will come, and you need to make sure as your business grows that your pricing reflects that. So strategies for pricing competitively while ensuring profitability. So that means making sure all of your overheads and expenses are covered in your pricing, and that you're also making a profit as well. So if you, let's say, pay monthly for Lightroom, for Photoshop, for the Creative Cloud, make sure you're factoring that in for your pricing, and also your editing time and any other like additional, costs that it takes to actually run your business and carry out a shoot. if you get an inquiry and you get a booking for a shoot that may require some travel, make sure that you're charging for that. That's important as well. And, offer packages for your shoots. For me, I have 3 photo session packages. They all range from amount of time shooting, the amount of deliverables, and also the amount of outfits as well. And also, add add-ons. A lot of the time, people will choose my cheapest package, which is X amount of photos, but I'll edit up a little bit more than 20, let them choose, so that if they want extras, those add-ons are there. Next one is equipment and software essentials. So for whatever you're shooting, make sure you've got the essential equipment for that niche. So if you're shooting weddings, get yourself a 24 for those 24mm for those group shots. Get a 35 for those details, and then get an 85, which is a little bit more telephoto. Those primes are a great kit for shooting weddings. If you're a portrait photographer, make sure you've got a 50mm lens, and make sure you've got a good camera. If you're solely photographer, make sure, I'd say a minimum of like 24 megapixels is a good mark. For me, I use Sony cameras, so I've got a Sony ZV-E1 right here, and I've got a Sony A7 IV right there. Now, the ZV-E1 is typically what I use for video now, but it's only 12 megapixels, so I wouldn't really use that for photo work. But the Sony A7 IV right here has got 33 megapixels. It also takes great video. So when it comes to video, I'll probably use that in the low light settings and scenarios, but I use that really for my video, for my photo work. Also, budgeting for photography gear. It takes a lot of time to save up for photography gear. For me, this may sound a bit strange, but I save up enough money that I can buy it twice. So I'm not just going to save up, if a camera's £1,000, I'm not going to save up £1,000 because then that just leaves me with nothing. I'm going to save up £2,000 to make sure that I can buy it twice, and I've still got a little bit of a buffer should any, emergency scenarios happen, and that I'm not going to be left short because I've just bought a camera. So that's my little top tip there. And then also explore options for equipment rental and second-hand purchases. For me, I from experience, I completely recommend this. I buy most of my lenses second-hand, whether it's through a camera store or like Facebook Marketplace, or buying off of friends as well. Camera bodies, I wouldn't buy second-hand. But lenses, I would buy second-hand. It just saves on the cost. Obviously, make sure that it's in good condition. And then rental. You may get a job inquiry that you don't have that gear. You don't have that camera that can shoot, let's say, 20 frames a second. You might be shooting some sport, and you need those fast photos. Explore camera rentals, whether it's through a camera shop or a website called Fat Llama. I know it's a strange name for a website, but Fat Llama is super reliable and a great website for renting camera gear. Number 7, networking and building relationships. It is imperative. I can't go in. I can't stress this enough. Networking and building relationships is absolutely imperative. The importance of networking in the photography industry is huge. Building relationships with other professionals, vendors, and your clients is key. If you've got a good relationship with your clients, you're going to get repeat work. And repeat work is what we really strive for at the end of the day. My target when it comes to working with my clients is build a good relationship, build a relationship that they're going to use me on a regular basis, and then lock that in with a contract, get those clients on a monthly retainer, and make sure that you're delivering value, delivering work, and a good customer and client experience that they're gonna tell all their friends about you. So network both online and offline. So go to networking events, run some ads, engage with your clients' social media posts, and also other professionals in your area. Build up a good network, a good circle of other photographers in the area, because they may need a second shooter, and as your business grows, you may need a second shooter. I can't stress that enough. Figure out some local networking events in your area as well. For me, they're not my favourite thing to do, but it's important to go to a few of them. So especially as you're just starting out. Now, marketing. Last week's episode was about marketing your photography business, but create a marketing plan for your newly established business. Figure out how you're going to tell the world about your business. Tell the world what you do, what your USP is, why people should choose you over the competition. So leverage digital and traditional marketing channels. So, get your business cards, get some flyers that you can hand out when you're shooting events, post Instagram reels, talk to the camera about, why you are different to all the other photographers in the area, deliver and share the what your USP is with the world. You could start a blog, you could, build a, email marketing list through your website, and tell people why they should book you. Build a client base through effective marketing strategy. Building a client base through effective marketing strategies is so important. Let's move on to number 9, and that is managing finances and budgeting. So set up a business bank account. Don't just use your personal bank account because, that can create complications when it comes to, your taxes and expenses and stuff. So if you can get yourself a business bank account, get yourself a business card so that any purchases that you're making for the business, put it through solely on that card. That way it's just easy when it comes to delivering bank statement and, working with what I suggest you get is an accountant. So make sure you're budgeting for business expenses, taxes, and also personal income as well. Now, for me, here in the UK, we pay like 20% on what comes in on tax. I put away at least 30 each month. That way, I've got a bit of a buffer. If you're using a website, for me, I use Wix. I do all my invoicing through Wix as well. So that's great because I can track my income and my expenses, which gives me really, really good financial stability. Make like a spreadsheet of all of your like monthly outgoings or yearly outgoings. That could be from your Adobe cloud subscription, Lightroom. For me, I've got quite a few because I edit videos as well and film videos. So, stock footage, licensed copyright-free music. I use a lot of motion graphics packs, so I might be purchasing a few of them each month. Really figure out what your monthly expenses are and make sure that you're charging enough for your services to cover that as well as making profit. And the last thing is handling your client relationships. As your photography business grows, you'll come to realize that handling client relationships is key. You need to communicate effectively with your clients from, progress of the shoot, making sure you're both on the same page with, what you want to achieve with the photos, setting clear expectations, and delivering customer services is key. Set clear expectations with budget, with, quick turnarounds and all that sort of stuff. And also setting boundaries as well. I've not really spoke about that much of this series, but setting boundaries is really, really key as well with your clients. For me, when I first started, I would reply to every email, every inquiry, no matter how late in the evening a client messaged me. If a client messaged me at 11 o'clock at night, oh, can we change this? Can we, edit that? Can we get the photos, tonight? I'd reply instantly, and I was not setting any boundaries between myself and my clients. And that was a big mistake for me. I have, for the last 2 or 3 years, rectified that, and my whole life is so much better. My business is so much better because I'm setting boundaries, and that's a really, really good thing to do. Set those clear expectations with your clients. You don't have to flat out say, don't message me at 6 p.m. or past 6 p.m. because I won't reply. But let your client know that these are the hours that you work. That you may not reply at this time. So I can't stress that enough, that setting those boundaries is key. And there we have it, people. Those are the 10 things that I would do when it comes to setting up a photography business. If you'd like a part 2, because there's a few more things that I could definitely touch on, let me know in the comments below, either on YouTube or on Spotify. If you've got a friend who's picking up photography and you think this episode could bring them some value, share it with them. Spread the word, because like I say, there's plenty of room at the table for, for creatives, for photographers, for videographers. That's what this podcast is about. Sharing the knowledge that I've got through my few years in photography and delivering it to you in hopefully a good way. So if you enjoyed this episode, please do hit the subscribe button, follow the podcast. You can check it out video form on Spotify and on YouTube. And I will see you next week for another episode of Creative Goodness. Have a good one, guys.